Alright guys, as promised, we're going to go through the instructions today of how to do an exothermic reaction using hydrogen peroxide and yeast. Now both these products are very inexpensive. You may already have them around the house. This size bottle of hydrogen peroxide, just the regular stuff you put on your scrapes at home, is 97 cents at Publix, so pretty easy to access there. And your active yeast for 3 packets of it is about $1.50. So you can go pick up the small packets because you're only going to need one to probably do this both times. I usually find that half a packet works best. All right. So to start the reaction, you need to to start the whole experiment, you need to find some sort of container. Soda bottles work great, either the 20 ounce or the 2 liter, just depending on how much of a product you want to use. I'm going to be using a graduated cylinder like this. Then for the second reaction, I'm going to be using a beaker like this. For the first reaction we're going to do, it's just for fun. It's something that the kids can do by themselves. All the chemicals are safe for them to use at home. So fill up a predetermined amount of hydrogen peroxide, which I've already done. I have about 150 milliliters, not too much. You don't really need a ton. And then you're going to go and get dish soap. Now, I found that the Kroger dish soap or the Publix dish soap actually works better than the name brand Dawn or Palmolive or what all the other brands are. But I found that the Kroger and just the generic brands or the store brands work better. So you want to add a good solid amount of soap. So we want a good solid amount of foam because this is the fun one, right? So soap, kind of mix it up so it gets going in there. Because we want to try and trap any gas that we get from this reaction in our bubbles. That's why it's fun. It makes warm foam, which is about the same consistency of a warm shaving cream. Then I like to use food coloring because food coloring is awesome. It always makes everything better. And I like to drip it down the sides of my container, so if we do it right, hopefully it starts to make stripes on our reaction, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. That's okay, science sometimes happens. Alright, so we have our food coloring, we have our hydrogen peroxide, we have our soap. The last ingredient is our yeast, and what you're going to want to do is before you start anything is you're going to want to get some warm water and add about half a packet of yeast to it. That way it activates because it's going to be the catalyst to our whole reaction here. So I usually let it sit for about 5 minutes before I start doing anything else. That way it's good and ready to go. Once you have your yeast ready, you have your hydrogen peroxide ready, you've got your food coloring, you got your soap, you're ready to combine them and see what happens. So we're going to add it in there and we're going to see if we can get some foam from this reaction. Alright, no stripes, just kind of foam today, but experiment at home and see if you can actually, if you get it really good, you can actually get pillars of foam that will go up. That's obviously why I'm using the container to contain my mess a little bit. Obviously the more hydrogen peroxide, the more yeast you use, the longer the reaction is going to go. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bigger reaction. It just means it's going to take place for a longer time. And for this one, it's safe for you to touch it and see if it feels warm. Mine definitely is warm. We know that because it feels warm that it's an exothermic reaction. I'm going to move this guy to the side. Wash my hands off real quick. All right, we're going to do the second reaction. But we're going to actually take some ingredients away this time. And this is the one that I want you to do with a parent. Hear that, parents? Parents need to be a part of this one, all right? No, this one is not for them to do by themselves. All right, so hydrogen peroxide again. This time I'm using a more open container, and you'll see why here in a little bit. So hydrogen peroxide, no food coloring, no soap this time, just hydrogen peroxide and our yeast. We're trying to get larger bubbles out of this, and we don't want the soap because we want to prove this time that we have oxygen as our gas, and I'm going to show you how we are going to do that. So I'm going to dump a little bit of that excess water out. So we're going to add our yeast. Same thing will happen. We're going to get some bubbles out of it, and we want to prove that these bubbles are actually a release of oxygen gas. Because what is actually happening is this is a really, really fast decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is pretty unstable, and what is happening is it's breaking down into hydrogen and oxygen, or water and oxygen. So we want to prove that this is actually oxygen gas coming out. The way that we do that is with fire. Fire is always fun to play with, but only with an adult, kids. So I'm going to take my craft stick, and you can use one of the larger long matches or really any piece of wood that you can fit. I'm going to burn it here for a minute. Burn, 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 and then I'm going to put it out. I want it to be pretty much out. I just want a little ember on it. Alright? Alright, I have just a little bit of ember. What happens is when I get close to that oxygen, it's going to relight itself because the oxygen is causing the fire to burn again, because that is what's burning in the air when we have fire. And you can continue to blow it out and relight it as many times as you want until your oxygen on the inside runs out. Once your oxygen on the inside is out, it's not going to burn anymore because fire needs oxygen to burn. Alright? So I hope you have fun with it. Take videos, take pictures, send them to me, and I would love to see them. So I hope you guys have fun with this, and I will look forward to your videos.